Hello, econ students. Welcome to AP Microeconomics. This is going to be the first of a long series of videos to explain AP Micro, what it is, what the key concepts are, and we're going to use some different illustrations to try and show that. So I'm going to get started right away with the first parts of Unit 1. And in Unit 1, you cover the basic economic concepts found within economics in general, and in later in Unit 2, you get more into specifically microeconomics. But this first part is really about the economic way of thinking. And so it's really how do economists kind of view and explain the world. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use some examples to kind of highlight some of the terms and ideas and the ways that they assess and analyze what's happening and why it's happening. So what we're going to use is we're going to use our little example right here. This is going to be, let's call him Bob. We're going to assume Bob is on this kind of deserted island. And we're going to go through how we understand economics based upon this idea of Bob on a deserted island. And the first thing we got to know is that, well, Bob needs to be able to survive. He needs to be able to live. And it's just him, this tree, and all the surrounding water, and it seems pretty desperate and, not a great situation for him. So what is he going to do? What does he have to do? Well, he has to find a way to find food, right? And so what does he have to find food? Well, he can kind of scavenge around and he can try and gather stuff from the tree. He can go out to the water, but regardless of what he does, he has to balance the time that he has that he's going to dedicate to these different things. So maybe he needs food and he needs shelter. So this highlights just a very simple, straightforward, basic economic concept from the very beginning. When he dedicates more of his time to finding food, he therefore has less time for what? Well, he has less time for, let's say, building or finding a shelter. And so this idea of scarcity comes up from the very beginning of any economic analysis, that things are scarce. And what scarcity means is that that thing is finite, right? It's limited and it's desirable. So in this example, his time is finite and it's desirable, which means he has to make alternative choices about how to best utilize it. And so if he spends more and more, so let's do it like this. So if he spends more time looking for food, he by definition spends less time building a shelter. Right? So if he increases in a day the amount of time he spends looking for food by an hour, that means by definition he has to lose an hour of building a shelter. If these are his only two alternative choices, right? He has to give up one in order to gain some more of another. Right? And this idea, this concept, is called opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is one of the great ideas, the great concepts of economics. And what opportunity cost means is that if you were to gain something, something is lost, right? So if you were to gain something, something must be lost. Something must be given up. And in this concept, when he gains time to look for food, he loses time to build a shelter. And so shelter, losing shelter, that's the opportunity cost of food. Shelter, building a shelter, time spent on building a shelter is the opportunity cost of looking for food. And so you have to say, well, is that worth it? So you could look at it like this. You could say Bob is only going to look for food. This is all that he's going to do. He's going to spend all 24 hours in his day and he's going to look for food. Well, that's a pretty big opportunity cost because he has no shelter, right, in that scenario. Or you could say, you know what, all he's going to do is build a shelter for 24 hours. And that means that he has no food. And both of those have very big opportunity costs, right? No food is not a good situation, and no shelter is not a good situation. So both of those have very high opportunity costs. You're giving up all of your shelter or you're giving up all of your food. And so this is kind of an all or nothing sort of decision. But most of our decisions don't go all or nothing. Most of them are on what we call the margin. And so in AP Microeconomics, we do this every unit, every analysis that we have typically involves the margin. And so what we call that is marginal analysis. In marginal analysis, this is the idea of, is one more worth it? And I'll write it just like that. Is one more, fill in the blank, is one more whatever we're talking about, is one more hour of looking for food worth it? All right, I finish this, worth it. Is one more hour building a shelter worth it? Is producing one more good worth it? Is hiring one more worker worth it? Is reducing pollution by one more unit worth it? All of these are marginal ideas, not total, not all or nothings, but marginal. So marginal, memorize this word, know this word marginal. It means the last one or one more. What's the difference with one more? Is one more worth it? Okay, so you can think of this when you're driving. I'll give you a different example. Do you drive 0 miles per hour, or do you drive the max that your car can go? So let's say your car can go up to, I don't know, let's just say 120 miles per hour. Are these your two choices, 0 or 120 miles per hour? Or do you choose something in between there? And where is it that you choose, and how do you decide to stop there? So let's say you decide to stop at 40 miles per hour. Why not 41? Why not 42? And we could keep playing this scenario out. Why not 43 or 44 or 45? Why not 57? Why not 58, 59, 60? Why not up to 120? Because at some point, one more mile an hour isn't worth it anymore. One more isn't worth it anymore. And so you stop there. So whatever you stop at, you've decided that that is the last one that's worth it. And that's your marginal analysis. That's how you already know how to do the economic way of thinking.